In lesson 5.4, we will be solving proportions. I kind of have two steps that I want you to look for each time when you solve a proportion. Our step one is this mental math. I will encourage you to use that because it will take you a lot less work to get to our final answer. So we're going to use mental math first. We're going to look to see if we can do that. If that doesn't work, I want you to look to reduce the fraction side, and then I want you to check for mental math again. Sometimes we won't be able to use mental math how the problem is set up initially, but after we reduce and we change some numbers up a little bit, we might be able to go back and do some mental math again. And we'll show an example like that here. Now, if we can't use mental math, then we can always rely on cross multiply then divide. So when we're solving proportion, we'll cross multiply then divide, and then it's a one-step or two-step equation from there to get our answer. So in all of these problems, we have a proportion, okay? And we have two ratios that are set equal to each other, but we do not know one of our values, and that is our job to figure out what our unknown value is, okay? So in this first example, 5/7 equals x over 21. We're trying to figure out what x equals. We know these equal each other, all right? So we're saying 5/7 equals what other ratio that has 21 as the denominator. And in this example, we are able to use mental math, okay? When we use mental math, you're always gonna start on the side of the fraction. You will not always start on the left or the right. It just depends on which side has the full fraction. Here, 5/7 has my full fraction, okay? X over 21 is not my full fraction because we do not know what x is. So we're gonna start left to right here. And we're gonna ask ourselves, how do I get from 7 to 21, okay? And we are able to take 7 times 3 to get 21. So because these ratios are equal, I am also able to take 5 times 3 to get my value up here. 5 times 3 is 15, so then x equals 15. We were able to do that because we were able to take 7 times a whole number to get 21. All right, this example. We have 12/10 equals a over 15, so we're trying to figure out what a equals. So we want to try to look to do mental math first. I'm going to start on my side as my fraction, and that again is my left side, and I'm going to ask myself, how do I get from 10 to 15? Well, I can't really take 10 times the whole number to get to 15, so then I'm going to look to reduce the fraction, 12/10. I'm able to reduce both of those by 2, and I'm going to get 6/5. Now I want to go back and look to try mental math again. In this case, we're looking at 5 to get to 15, and now I'm able to do mental math here. So we're going to take 5 times 3 again to get 15. So that means I can also take 6 times 3, and that's going to give me a. And 6 times 3 is 18. So a equals 18. All right, moving on. X over 8 equals 7/10. Okay, here we want to start on the fraction side, which in this case is my right side, and I'm going to ask myself, how do I get from the right side to the left side? So we're going to look for mental math. Well, I can't really take 10 times or divided by a number to get to 8. Okay, with mental math, you are also able to divide if the number on the fraction side is larger than the number on the non-fraction side. So with mental math, you're not always multiplying. Sometimes you do divide, okay? But in this case, I can't take 10 times the whole number to get to 8, so then I want to look to reduce my fraction, 7/10. Well, that's already in simplest form, so that kind of takes out the step 1. I can't do mental math on this case, which is okay, because we can always do step number 2 every single time. Cross multiply and then divide. So we're going to multiply our cross products. Okay, so that's our cross multiply part. So I'm always going to multiply the cross products that are involving the variable first. I always like the variable on the left side. So I'm going to take 10 times x, okay, which is 10x. And then because there's this equal sign, I need to drop that equal sign straight down because we got to set one cross product equal to another cross product. Now I need to take 8 times 7, which is 56. So there was this part. We cross multiplied. Now we need to divide, right? Because this is a one-step equation. I have 10x equals 56. We got to get x by itself so we can figure out what x equals. We need to divide both sides by 10. Our 10s cancel out, and x equals 5 6/10. So that is our cross-multiplying dividing option. Now, we also might see an example, it looks a little different, where we don't just have a variable in either the numerator or denominator, I'm going to have an example here where I have two terms, okay, in either the numerator or denominator. So on a problem like this, we are not able to do mental math, all right, because of my multiple terms here. So we got to go straight to cross multiply and divide. So we're going to focus on the cross products with the variable first. So I need to multiply z plus 1 and 15. Now this is kind of like a distributive property problem. I'm really taking 15 times everything, z and 1, okay? So if I take 15 times z, I get 15z, and I also need to take 15 times 1, and it's a positive 15. So it's kind of like a distributive property problem where you're multiplying this lone term through all the terms here, okay? And then we need to set it equal to our other cross products. We're going to take 40 times 6, which is 240. And now we need to solve for z. So this is really just like a two-step equation now. So z is being multiplied by 15 and added by 15. And we've learned that we always get rid of the weaker operation first. So we're going to subtract 15 from both sides. Bring down my 15z. All right. I get 225. So 15z equals 225. Now we just need to solve for z. One last step. Got to get rid of that 15. It's being multiplied, so we need to divide. And then we're going to take 225 divided by 15. Now, if you don't know what this is off the top of your head, that's fine. You can always just set it up. Top number goes on the inside, and bottom number goes on the outside. 15 goes into 22 once. And I need to subtract 22 and 15. 7, bring down the 5, and 15 goes into 75 5 times. So z equals 15. All right. So that is on solving proportions. So always look to try to do mental math first. If that doesn't work, look to reduce the fraction, then go back and check for mental math. Now, if those strategies don't work, then you can always cross multiply and divide. And if you like this cross multiplying divide method more, you can always just cross multiply and divide any proportion. You don't have to do mental math. Mental math just gets you to your answer a little quicker. All right, homework is on page 190, 10 through 22 evens, and then 25 through 27.